I think if they win, I should get all the credit, and if they lose, I should not be blamed at all.
When it comes to selflessness, former President Donald Trump will never meet the moment.
Whenever people want to really make progress, some have to sacrifice a lot.
The late Muhammad Ali, meanwhile, understood what was needed for societal advancement.
I am your president of law and order.
He hates dissent from the American public, including those who go against the military-industrial complex.
Whenever people want to really make progress, some have to sacrifice a lot. And I like to say, white America right now is spending $30 million a day in Asia. Black and white boys are dying unjustly for nothing just to free somebody else. So why should I worry about going to little old jail to free my poor people who's been catching hell here for 400 years?
Like anti-war hero Muhammad Ali.
Sometimes a black may think that they don't really have the advantage or this or that, but in actuality, today, currently, it's a great. I've said on occasion, even about myself, if I was starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
He has never seen the big picture.
It's kind of hard to put a black man any black person in this country in jail, because if you ask the average one, we're already in jail. You know, we've been here in jail 400 years.
So much fun. I love it. I love it. We having a good time? USA, USA. Knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
One advocates for violence when they don't get their way.
My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some darker people or some poor hungry people in the mud for big powerful America and shoot them for what?
The other uses it solely when sanctioned by the governing bodies of boxing.
We want our sons and daughters to know that they are the citizens of the most exceptional nation in the history of the world. To grow up in America is to live in a land where anything is possible, where anyone can rise, and where any dream can come true, all because of the immortal principles of our nation's founders, inscribed nearly 2.5 centuries ago.
What he fails to grasp at every turn of his life is those who suffer and how America was built perfectly for him.
For the progress of white America in space, 8 astronauts died on the ground and 3 almost not got back. But whenever people want to really make progress, some have to sacrifice a lot.
But not him.
We have people coming into the country, trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level and at a rate that's never happened before.
Here's the President of the United States referring to humans as animals. It follows his rhetoric on non-white people over the years.
People are people wherever you go. I don't care if you go to Russia, China. They're all the same. Cultures different, eat different, speak a little different. But people are people. Humans are humans, regardless of race, creed, or color, class.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? Our inner cities, African Americans, Hispanics, are living in hell because it's so dangerous. You walk down the street, you get shot.
According to the New York Times, he complained that the 15,000 Haitian immigrants who received visas in 2017 all have AIDS. In that very same meeting, the Times reports, he said that once the 40,000 Nigerian immigrants given visas arrived in the U.S., they would never go back to their huts. The White House denies this report.
The Post reports that according to 2 people briefed in the meeting, the president asked, quote, "Why are we having all these people from countries come here," referring to African countries and Haiti. The president then went on to talk about how they needed to bring in more people from places like Norway.
Talking like it, the white people.
Oh, I bet. Listen, I beg your pardon. No.
I don't want to. All black people don't come up with you saying. You mean white people know. Listen, woman, everybody black watching this show knows why you don't like the way I talk. You don't like a talking to you like this. Never done nothing like this.
Sir, I beg you.
I know what it is. Don't tell me what you don't like.
People don't want to see all of the politics. They've got enough politics with me and with everybody else. And they don't want to see it with football and sports on Sunday or whenever they happen to be watching.
He despises athletes speaking out.
I say, kid, your chances of being a great fighter or good enough to make a good living is about 100,000 to 1. And if you spend the most of your life trying to be a fighter and you get hurt or you don't make it, your whole life is ruined. It's too late to get education. It's too late to look for a trade or something to fall back on. I say, no, take your education, take your mind while you're quick for developing, go to school, learn to read, learn to write, be a mechanic, be a doctor, be a lawyer. Go now, learn, get your mind conditioned, spend one day. Same with basketball, same with football, same with baseball. You can't be like Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier. We are two little black boys who came up to be the biggest draws in the whole world. And don't think because I made it, I'm gonna tell you to go box. No, get your brains together, box the exercises, but get your brains together, get educated and get a trade because you might not make it and there's too much risk involved. No, go to school.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to...
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
No, I will not go 10,000 miles from here to help murder and kill another poor people simply to continue the domination of white slave masters.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids, okay?
And he speaks this way of Mark Robinson, a conspiracy theorist wacko, while desecrating the legacy of Martin Luther King. First things first, if there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open. Appreciate all of y'all's submissions. And please, if you can, go to tyt.com/join to support the network, support the show, and keep us afloat. Here's what I will say. I know that there is some overlap, mainly with some of the powers that be in the world of boxing. But when you look at Muhammad Ali, RIP, and you look at Donald Trump, you see two polar opposites. Ali standing for the everyday man, and his message would evolve over time. But it is very clear that he was for the little guy. He was for the working class. He was an anti-racist. He was, more importantly, anti-war. And Donald Trump are, and still remains to this day to be, the complete inverse of inclusivity, progressiveness, and positivity.
There are people that wear the MAGA hat and like what the MAGA hat represents. Are you afraid about alienating them? They could be fans of the show.
Alienate yourselves. Yeah. Go and alienate. You have my blessing. No, I can give a
Living legend Larry David is picking up his criticism of Donald Trump and the MAGA base where he left off by hitting Trump where he hurts the most, his fragile ego.
You can't go a day without thinking about what he's done to this country because he's such a little baby that he's thrown 250 years of democracy out the window by not accepting the results of an... I mean, it's so crazy. He's such a sociopath. He's so insane. He just couldn't admit to losing. And we know he lost. He knows he lost. And look how he's fooled everybody. He's convinced all these people that he didn't lose. He's such a sick man. He's so sick. Anyway, no, it hasn't impacted me at all.
Trump's entire brand is fueled solely by the fraudulent persona he has built for himself since entering the public spotlight decades ago. And like Larry David pointed out, he's duped so many people at this point that he could do literally anything and his loyal minions would still stand behind him.
Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
But if a jury convicts him, would that change your opinion of him at all? Is there anything that could happen that could lose your support for him?
Not at all. Not anything that they're trying to bring up. No.
So if he goes to jail, still president in jail is fine with you?
Absolutely.
Would you rather have Donald Trump in jail as president or Joe Biden in the Oval Office?
I will take Donald Trump anywhere. Jail, it doesn't matter. I will absolutely take him over Biden any day.
There are 91 federal and state indictments against him. If he's found guilty by a jury in any of those, what do you think should happen to him? Should he be allowed to serve as president? Should he be allowed to run? And would you still support him if he's convicted by juries?
I'd vote for Trump if he's sitting in a prison cell, period. He absolutely should still be allowed to run, but they should not, when I say they, I mean all the people that are prosecuting him should not be allowed to be doing any of this stuff while he's running for president.
You rather have him as president from jail or Biden as president from the White House?
I'd rather have Mickey Mouse in the White House than Biden, if that answers your question. But if he's in jail, absolutely, 100%.
It should go without saying that a prison sentence shouldn't disqualify you from running for president. But when it comes to planning to overthrow the government and eliminating one of the only crumbs of actual democracy that we have left, you shouldn't be this enthusiastic to support that candidate.
You think it was stolen?
Yeah, it was definitely stolen. No doubt about it.
Well, there's some doubt, right? Because President Biden's the president now, and 60 courts said it wasn't, and here we are.
Those were procedural dismissals. Yeah. Right. So I don't think, many affidavits, they keep saying there's no evidence. The definition of an affidavit is evidence. The word evidence appears in that definition. So to dismiss all of that evidence, and they do it all the time. So it's absurd.
There's too many people that are ready to go now.
When you say, what does that mean? Can you be specific?
Civil war.
You think it'll be a civil war if Trump loses again?
Oh, yes, I do. I know with people that I talk to, I'm a churchgoer, and I love God more than my life. But there are things that I do for God that I don't do for anybody else. And this is one thing I know that God needs some help here, but I can sure talk.
Now, I had somebody tell me that they would take a bullet for Donald Trump.
I think I would too, because I'm not that young. If I was young, I'd never say that. But I would too. I mean,
we don't want to lose your wisdom to that.
But I don't know what it is about him. He's got that charisma, says it like it is, never backs down. He never says anything that he shouldn't.
Do you want to take that one back?
I know you've heard it, but I never hear those things.
This woman is a perfect encapsulation of how Trump's ego and public facade have infected so many people and have done so much damage to the country since he rose to power. And it's actually pretty easy to figure out why his followers are so brainwashed when you take a look at the garbage they feast on coming out of his mouth.
And I look now, even last night I was saying it, I said, I don't care, Andrew Jackson or anybody else, nobody has, when you think of the fake things, nobody's been treated like Trump in terms of badly. Russia, Ukraine, everything was a scam. And it literally starts the new one. As you win one, you start the other. Impeachment hoax number one, impeachment hoax number two. All hoaxes and scams.
It was a rigged election. The votes came in, then they added a lot of votes to it. You saw it. It was a totally rigged election. They know it too. The only thing they don't want people talking about that election. Even Fox is afraid to talk about it. They're all afraid to talk about it.
We did much better in 2020. I did millions and millions of votes more in 2020. I did much better. And you can cut this if you want, but the election was rigged. Fox may want to cut that one out, but that's okay.
Well, I would just say it hasn't been proven in court.
Well, it was so rigged. It was so crazy. But we're going to do it again.
And they indicted me on It's all I don't think that's harshly. I think they truly hate me more than anybody that's ever lived. Hillary Clinton broke the law, and she didn't get indicted. Joe Biden broke the law, and in many other ways we're finding out, and so far has not gotten indicted. I did everything right, and they indicted me.
Following curb since its inception, and really appreciated some of those older parts of the series. What I will say is this. One thing that stands out to me, and we can't show it, obviously, because it's copyrighted, but when all of the Trumpisms came into play in American culture and the MAGA base prominently rose up, there was an episode where Larry did not want to go to lunch with this one guy who kept telling him over and over that they had to get lunch, they had to get lunch, they had to get lunch. And he found a way out. And in pure LD fashion, it was the MAGA cap. So he puts it on in the restaurant, receives looks, doesn't matter, because the only thing that's on his mind is he wants to be left alone. That is the constant with Larry David. He wants to be left alone. Does not want to go out of his way for just about anybody. So this guy walks in, and if you haven't seen it, please do. And I'll try to go back and I'll leave it in the description of the season and the episode. But when his friend comes in, he's wearing the MAGA hat. The guy cannot get over it, sits down, and after about 2 minutes, just leaves. Says, hey, I have somewhere to go. And Larry's like, oh, no. Oh, geez. You have somewhere to go. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. And they never speak again. And Larry is just basking in his own reflected glory. There was also a report that I believe it was in the Hamptons or some well-off area where LD ran into Alan Dershowitz and reamed him out in a grocery store. Now that is the sort of energy that I think we need towards these people.
If you were part of a union or working class people who were allowed to build a better life in the middle class in America, you listen to us.
If you didn't know, this is Dropkick Murphys frontman and bassist Ken Casey, and he is about to take a blowtorch to Donald Trump, his entire fan base, and the system that props him up.
Because if you're out there buying those hats that these swindlers are selling at that fair, I'm sorry kids, I know there's kids here, then you're part of the problem, and I'll tell you why. Because you're being duped by the greatest swindler in the history of the world. You're being duped by a bunch of grifters and billionaires who don't give a about you or your family.
Casey could not be more right here. Trump's entire life has been nothing but one long grift that preys on the most vulnerable people in our country and is only getting worse now that he's too broke to cover his legal fees. But Casey isn't done speaking truth to the billionaires controlling our lives yet.
They care about their tax breaks and the money they can put in their pocket.
That's the game of politics in America. Bow down to the wealthy ruling class that's actually running the country and serve their class interests instead of the people who voted you in.
If you consider yourself a patriot and you're spouting off that election denying I will fight you outside if you want to. Wake the up! We're working class people. These people are the rich, the billionaires, and they don't give a Thank you for listening.
This is exactly the type of passion and energy we need from public figures if we ever want to enact some real change and progress in the country, especially when class interests supersede political affiliations.
We have a long history of supporting organized labor and eventually anyway, thanks for having our back, we got yours. And why don't we start with the appropriately named song called The Workers' Song.
Over St. Patrick's Day weekend, they performed in Boston for local labor unions and reaffirmed their lifelong support of fighting for the working class and standing in solidarity with various unions across the country.
How you doing, everybody? We're the Dropkick Murphys, sending our love, solidarity, and support out to all you teachers on the picket line. Thank you for all you do.
They collaborated with the Newton, Massachusetts Teachers Association to show their solidarity with their striking public school teachers earlier this year, performing Workers' Song just like they did recently in Boston. The teachers are now back at work, securing a higher starting salary for new teachers, 60 paid parental leave days for new parents, and higher annual cost of living adjustments. They, of course, also showed solidarity with the striking UAW auto workers on the picket line while their strike was going on last fall, again performing their workers' song for those sacrificing everything to fight for the dignity their labor deserves. This is what real solidarity looks like and why Dropkick Murphys deserve as much credit as they do. They back their words up with actions rather than spewing fraudulent, empty words like Republicans and Dems say after they worked together for so long to erode the rights of the American worker.
Donald Trump is a scab. Donald Trump is a billionaire, and that's who he represents. If Donald Trump ever worked in an auto plant, he wouldn't be a UAW member. He'd be a company man trying to squeeze the American worker. Donald Trump stands against everything we stand for as a union, as a society. When you go back to our core issues, wages, retirement, health care, and our time, that's what this election's about. This election's about who will stand up with us and who will stand in our way.
UAW President Shawn Fain agrees with the Dropkick Murphys.
Could have considered Donald Trump. You did not. Why not?
Well, I mean, if you look at just the facts and the body of work of both candidates and, both of them in their own words, nowhere in history has Donald Trump ever stood for the American worker. He stands against pretty much everything that we stand for.
So
in 2008, 2009, the economic recession, Donald Trump blamed the workers for what was wrong with these companies. In 2015, he talked about doing a rotation of good-paying jobs in the Midwest, somewhere where they'd pay less and have people begging for their jobs back at lower wages. In 19, also in 15, when Volkswagen workers voted to organize, he put an NLRB in place that killed the organizing, the contract for those workers. In 19, when he was president, he didn't support the strike. He told workers at Lordstown Assembly Plant, which was closing, don't sell your houses, and then he did nothing to support them. Versus President Biden, who in 2023, when a plant was going to close in Belvedere, Illinois for Stellantis, he stood with those workers. He helped us save a community and helped bring not one plant, but 2 plants back to life. And he stood with our members on the picket line in our fight for economic justice.
For everything that Joe Biden has gotten wrong, and trust us, he's gotten a lot wrong during his presidency, it's indisputable that Biden has been one of our most pro-labor presidents, even though the bar is set ridiculously low. It is undeniable that his tough stance on supporting unions has resonated with working class voters and may be the only thing that gives him a chance in the upcoming election against that other guy. If there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you, the viewer, would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open. Support the channel. All of our content is free. It's the least you could do. Become a paid channel member or go to tyt.com/join to support the network as a whole. Thank you so much. Have a great day.